Hello and welcome to the Sleepy Cosmologist, and I am so glad to join me here. Tonight, we drift into one of the strangest, most magical mysteries of science, the story of a cat that is somehow alive and dead, both at the same time. This isn't just about physics, it's about existence itself. So, close your eyes if you'd like, let the soft hum of the universe wrap around you, and imagine a small, quiet box. Somewhere in the corner of your mind, inside it waits a sleepy little cat, curled up in silence, holding the key to one of reality's deepest secrets. It was the year 1935. The world outside was rumbling with uncertainty, but inside a small study in Austria, a man sat beneath the warm glow of a desk lamp, lost in thought. His name was Erwin Schrödinger, a brilliant physicist wrestling with a problem that felt both maddening and poetic: quantum mechanics. The young, rebellious branch of physics was reshaping everything humanity thought it understood about reality. But its rules were strange. Too strange. Almost absurd. Schrödinger leaned back in his chair, staring at the scattered papers before him, his mind swirling with equations and paradoxes. Outside his window, the night was still, sprinkled with stars, as if the cosmos itself were holding its breath. And then, with a faint sigh, he picked up his pen and began to write, "Let us imagine a cat." And so the cat was born. Not a real cat, not yet, but an idea. A symbol. A messenger from the edge of understanding. Imagine it now, the way Schrödinger did. A sturdy wooden box sits on a small table. Inside, curled up peacefully, is a cat, soft fur rising and falling as it breathes. But next to the cat lies something ominous: a tiny vial of poison, connected to a gauger counter, and a tiny bit of radioactive material. The setup is simple but clever. Within an hour, there is a 50% chance the radioactive atom will decay. If it does, the counter detects it and triggers the release of poison. If not, the cat is safe. Here's where the mystery unfolds. According to the strange rules of quantum mechanics, until you open the box and look, the atom exists in a state called superposition, both decayed and not decayed at the same time. And if the atom is both decayed and not decayed, then the cat is both alive and dead. Not one or the other. Both, simultaneously. Pause for a moment and feel that. A sleepy little creature curled up in its box, existing in two realities at once. Two timelines layered perfectly over each other, waiting for you to open the lid and collapse them into one. The image is absurd, unsettling, and strangely beautiful. Schrödinger himself intended it that way. Because you see, he wasn't trying to prove the cat existed in this bizarre twilight between life and death. He was making a point, pushing the logic of quantum mechanics to its limit, showing just how strange the implications were. The dominant interpretation of the time, championed by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, posited that particles exist in all possible states until they are observed. Schrödinger found this idea maddening when applied to everyday objects. Could an entire living being, warm, breathing, conscious, truly exist in a limbo of possibility, neither here nor there, neither alive nor dead? But the more you think about it, the more the paradox seems to whisper secrets about our existence. Because maybe, in some quiet way, we all live like Schrödinger's cat. Every moment of uncertainty, before the test results arrive, before the job offer comes, before you hear someone's answer. We exist suspended between possibilities. In those moments, we are many versions of ourselves. And then, we look. We observe. Reality collapses into one path, and all the others fade like dreams upon waking. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture that box again, sitting quietly in a shadowed room. Imagine your hand resting on its smooth wooden surface, feeling the coolness beneath your fingertips. Inside, the cat is purring softly, or perhaps it isn't. The vial is intact, or maybe shattered. Time itself seems to hesitate here, waiting for you to decide. You reach for the lid, but stop. You breathe, because the beauty of the paradox isn't in solving it, it's in lingering right here, on the threshold between knowing and not knowing. Schrödinger's cat lives, in a sense, inside us. Think about the last time you stood on the edge of a choice. Until you acted, every future existed at once, one where you said yes, another where you said no, one where you stayed, another where you left. It wasn't until you opened the metaphorical box that the world became solid again. Before that, everything was soft, shimmering, possible. And isn't there something strangely comforting about that? In a universe where particles blur between states and timelines weave together like threads, perhaps certainty is an illusion we visit only briefly. Perhaps reality is a story we write the moment we turn the page. Schrödinger himself couldn't have imagined how his sleepy little cat would live on. Nearly a century later, scientists still debate what his thought experiment truly means. Some see it as a critique, others as an invitation, a gentle nudge toward deeper mysteries. Physicists now explore interpretations of quantum mechanics, where entire parallel realities spring into being with every possible outcome. Where somewhere out there, another you has already opened the box and seen the opposite result. But here, tonight, under the soft hum of the cosmos, it's enough just to sit with the paradox, to breathe with it, to feel its quiet weight pressing against the edges of what we think we know. The box is closed. The cat sleeps in possibility. And for now, that's all we need. So, as you lie there beneath the stars, drifting gently toward dreams, remember this: reality is stranger than we can imagine. But it is also softer, more playful, and more mysterious than we've ever been taught to believe. Somewhere, right now, in the quiet folds of the universe, the cat still waits, alive, dead, both, neither. And maybe, just maybe, so do we. Imagine this: the world around you, the chair beneath you, the air brushing against your skin, the faint hum of distant sounds. All of it feels solid, certain, real. But beneath that surface, in the tiniest folds of reality, the universe behaves like a dream. It doesn't play by the rules we expect. At the quantum level, particles don't move like tiny marbles bouncing through space. Instead, they exist as waves of possibility, shimmering patterns of maybes and mightbes. And in that strange, invisible dance, the paradox of Schrödinger's cat quietly whispers its meaning. To truly understand this whisper, imagine yourself shrinking smaller, smaller still, until you slip beneath the surface of what you know. Down here, atoms hum softly like distant stars, and electrons swirl in ghostly clouds, never tied to one place, never choosing a single path. It's as if reality hasn't made up its mind yet. This isn't science fiction. This is the nature of the universe as we've discovered it. This is what physicists call superposition, the idea that a single particle can exist in multiple states at once until it is observed. Picture an electron, for example, moving around an atom. Classical physics, the kind we grew up trusting, says it should follow a neat, predictable orbit, like a planet circling the sun. But in the quantum realm, that's not what happens. Instead, the electron exists everywhere it could be, all at the same time, until you look for it. The very act of observing forces it to choose, to collapse into one reality. This is the secret hidden inside Schrödinger's cat. The box, the cat, the vial, the radioactive atom. They form a chain of possibility. The atom lives in superposition, both decayed and intact. That superposition extends to the vial, broken and unbroken, and to the cat itself, alive and dead. And until we open the box and look, the entire system exists as a layered melody of overlapping realities, a soft quantum song waiting for our ears. Pause and let that sink in, because in a way, we are the observers. We are the ones who open boxes, ask questions, and force the universe to choose. But that leads us to an unsettling thought. If reality needs an observer to become real, then what was it before us? Was the cosmos itself suspended in a kind of slumber, waiting for consciousness to awaken and look around? Some physicists, like John Wheeler, proposed something breathtaking. No phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon. In other words, perhaps the act of looking, of noticing, is what solidifies existence itself. Without observation, the universe is a soft blur of maybes. But there's something more intimate hiding here, too. Every day, without realizing it, we live inside tiny superpositions of our own. Think about the last unread message on your phone. Until you open it, the meaning exists in all possible states. Good news, bad news, no news at all. Think about that sealed envelope on your desk, or the pregnancy test on the bathroom counter, or the unopened acceptance letter from a university. In each of those moments, before the box opens, all futures coexist. You are, for a heartbeat, many versions of yourself. Isn't that strangely comforting? The idea that life itself is always richer than what we see. That possibility doesn't just exist out there, in laboratories and equations. It hums softly in the spaces between our choices, in the pauses before decisions, in the breaths before knowing. Schrödinger understood this paradox better than anyone. But here's the twist: he hated it. He thought superposition was absurd, impossible when scaled up to living beings. To him, the cat wasn't proof of how reality worked. It was proof that something about our interpretation of quantum mechanics had to be wrong. And yet, as decades passed, experiments proved time and time again that superposition is real. We've observed particles in overlapping states. We've trapped photons in places where they are both here and there. We've even managed to put tiny molecules, thousands of atoms wide, into measurable superpositions. The cat, it turns out, may be more than a metaphor. And so, late at night, physicists argue quietly under glowing lamps. Some believe that observation alone collapses reality into a single path. This is the Copenhagen interpretation, the one Schrödinger mocked with his cat. Others believe in something even stranger, that nothing collapses at all. Instead, every possibility branches into its separate universe. This is the many worlds interpretation. In one universe, you open the box and the cat is alive. In another, you open it and the cat has died. In another, perhaps you never open the box at all. Each choice, each quantum event blooms into its reality, infinite and eternal. Somewhere, there is a version of you who made the opposite choice at every crossroads. Somewhere, the you who said yes, the one who said no, the one who stayed, the one who left. Pause with that thought. Because if the universe is an infinite possibility, then none of us is as small as we think. Every moment contains entire forests of realities branching silently around us. Now, close your eyes for a moment and return to that quiet room. The box still sits on the table, smooth and unmarked. The cat sleeps within, suspended between states. You hear the faint ticking of the Geiger counter. Or maybe you don't. You lean closer, your hand hovering above the lid, and in this single second, everything exists at once. You haven't opened it yet, but in some universe, you already have. In one, the soft purr greets you. In another, there's silence. And maybe, somewhere out there, another version of you smiled faintly, decided not to open the box at all, and walked away, leaving the mystery untouched. And isn't there something beautiful in that? That reality doesn't just happen to us. We shape it by looking, by choosing, by being here to witness it. We are, in some profound sense, co-creators of the universe. Without us, perhaps the box would stay closed forever, the cat forever dreaming in its endless inn, between us. Quantum mechanics isn't just about particles. It's about perspective. It invites us to consider that knowing and being are entangled. That life isn't made of hard edges and absolutes, but of soft possibilities shimmering like morning dew. And maybe that's why this paradox still haunts us. Not because it's about a cat or a box or a particle, but because it speaks to something deeply human, our longing to know, and our simultaneous fear of knowing. Our hearts lie suspended between possibilities more often than we admit. We hesitate at thresholds, afraid to collapse one dream by choosing another. Schrödinger's cat, in its sleepy little box, isn't just a thought experiment. It's a mirror. A reminder that before we look, life is infinite, and after we look, it becomes a story. So perhaps the secret is this: to savor the pause before the lid lifts, to honor the quiet magic of uncertainty, to let the quantum whisper remind us that possibility is the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, one so wide and endless that you can't see where the water meets the horizon. The surface shimmers beneath a sleepy moon, but beneath that calmness, an invisible dance is happening. Currents swirling, waves forming, ripples colliding. Every point on that ocean is alive with possibility. This is what reality feels like at the quantum level. It isn't rigid. It isn't absolute. It dreams in probability. Unlike the tidy, clockwork certainty of Newton's world, where every cause has an inevitable effect, the quantum universe seems to whisper, maybe, maybe not. Here, particles don't exist in one place or follow a single path until we measure them. Instead, they live in probability waves, rippling, overlapping fields of potential. The electron doesn't sit neatly at one coordinate. It might be here, or there, or nowhere we expect. And all these possibilities hum together like a soft, invisible chord. This isn't philosophy. This is physics. And yet, it feels almost poetic. The mathematics behind quantum mechanics, especially something called the wave function, predicts where a particle could be, but never exactly where it is. It gives us probabilities, not certainties. Open the box, measure the cat, observe the particle. Only then does one possibility become real. Before that, reality itself is blurred, as though the universe hasn't made up its mind. And that's the strange, beautiful thing about it. The universe doesn't deal in absolutes. It deals in chances. Think of a dice roll. Before it lands, all 6 numbers exist in potential. You could roll a 1. You could roll a 6. Each outcome has its weight, its own probability. But here's where quantum physics leaps the extraordinary. Unlike dice, particles don't decide after they're thrown. They are all possibilities. Until you look. That's where Schrödinger's sleepy little cat comes in. The cat isn't just alive or dead. It's both, held softly in the arms of probability. Only when we peek inside do we collapse the wave function, choosing one reality from the infinite dreamscape. But there's a deeper mystery here, one that haunts scientists even today. What exactly makes the universe choose? What tells the wave function to collapse? What bridges the dream of probability into the solidness of existence? Some physicists believe it's the act of measurement itself. That consciousness, in some quiet, inexplicable way, triggers reality to crystallize. Others argue it's simply interaction, that particles measuring particles are enough, no human mind required. And then some whisper something even stranger. Maybe nothing collapses at all. Maybe every possibility happens, and we only ever notice one. This is the many worlds interpretation, a universe where each probability branches endlessly into new realities. In one world, you opened the box, and the cat stretched lazily, yawning back to life. In another, you opened it and felt the weight of silence. And in another still, you hesitated, left the box untouched, and walked away. If that's true, then somewhere out there, every dream you've ever let go still breathes. Somewhere, every door you never opened, every word you never said, every chance you didn't take, all of it lives on, vibrant and whole, in universes you'll never meet. Strangely, probability doesn't just live out there among particles and photons. It lives here, in our lives, in the smallest, quietest choices we make. Think about it before you read this sentence. Your day held 1,000 branching paths. You might have skipped this entirely. You might have closed the app. You might have done something else, somewhere else, someone else. Each choice collapses one wave of possibility into a lived reality, and yet, countless other paths linger softly in the background, unchosen, but not entirely gone. Isn't that what makes life so precious? That we walk through a fog of infinite maybes, carving out our single thread. Sometimes, though, uncertainty feels heavy. We long for control, for guarantees. We want the letter to arrive, the test result to come back, and the answer to be clear. But Schrödinger's paradox invites us to reconsider, what if uncertainty isn't our enemy? What if it's a gift? Because before the box opens, everything is possible. Before the wave collapses, there are no limits. There's magic in that in-between us, a soft reminder that life is always richer than what we know. Probability whispers that we are never trapped, never fixed, never just one thing. At any moment, new possibilities ripple beneath the surface, waiting for us to notice them. And maybe, just maybe, the universe dreams of us the same way. Some researchers even suggest that consciousness itself might emerge from quantum uncertainty. Inside our brains, particles interact at scales where superposition could play a role, and some theories, controversial, yes, but fascinating, hint that our awareness might be entangled with these probabilistic whispers of reality. If that's true, then maybe we're not just passive observers opening boxes. Maybe we're participants, co-authors of existence itself. Take a moment to sit with that. Every choice you make, every path you take, every time you look and collapse a possibility into being, you are sculpting your universe. Of course, this raises another haunting question. What about the possibilities we never choose? Are they lost forever? Or do they bloom elsewhere, untouched by us, but real nonetheless? Here's where physics slips softly into philosophy. Some believe that unchosen paths dissolve, that they never become real. Others insist that they persist in parallel, eternally unfolding in worlds we'll never know. And then there's an even quieter idea that what matters isn't whether they exist out there, but whether they exist in us, because deep down, we are quantum creatures too, not made of certainties, but of shimmering probabilities, 1,000 selves folded into one. The past you, the present you, the dreaming you, the you who almost was, they all hum together in the soft background noise of who you are becoming. And maybe, if we lean close enough, we can hear the universe whispering back, "Don't fear the unknown, that's where you come from." Probability doesn't mean chaos. It means possibility. It means that no single story defines you, no single outcome limits you, no single box contains you. Like the cat, you are more than one thing. You are alive and dreaming, certain and uncertain, known and unknown, all at once. So the next time you face a choice, remember the box. Remember the quantum ocean beneath your feet. Remember that before you look, before you decide, the future is still unwritten. Not a single thread, but a tapestry of shimmering maybes. And maybe that's what makes this sleepy little paradox so timeless. Schrödinger's cat reminds us not to rush through life seeking answers, but to savor the silence before knowing. To honor the spaces where anything could still happen. Because in the quiet between possibilities, life breathes its deepest magic. Imagine two tiny particles born together in the same quiet corner of the universe, like twins sharing a secret language. From the very moment of their creation, their fates are tied. You take one particle and send it drifting to the farthest edge of the galaxy, while the other stays here, close to home. You'd expect that what happens to one shouldn't affect the other, not when they're separated by billions of light years. But somehow it does. When you measure the first particle, the second one knows instantly. No delay, no messenger, no time for information to travel. It's as if the universe whispers between them, carrying meaning faster than the speed of light. This is quantum entanglement. Einstein's spooky action at a distance. For decades, even Einstein himself doubted it. It seemed impossible, almost absurd. And yet, experiment after experiment confirmed it. Once entangled, always entangled. Across distance, across time, across the quiet fabric of reality itself. But what does this mean? How can two separate things be not separate at all? Maybe it means that separation is an illusion, that beneath the surface, beneath the ticking of clocks and the spinning of galaxies, there is a deeper connectedness. A single, invisible thread weaving everything together. It's tempting to imagine this as a kind of cosmic intimacy. Two photons born from the same spark, two electrons colliding in a quiet dance, forever carrying a piece of each other, no matter where they go. Like old friends who finish each other's sentences across lifetimes. Like twin dreams waking in different worlds, but still breathing in rhythm. And here's where things get even stranger. Quantum entanglement doesn't just belong to particles. It lives inside us too. Because everything in your body, every atom of carbon, oxygen, iron, was forged in the heart of a star billions of years ago. And those atoms, once entangled in stellar furnaces, still hum with connections scattered across the universe. Pieces of you may be quantum, linked to distant corners of the cosmos, tugging softly at the fabric of existence. It makes you wonder, when you look at the stars, do they, in some quiet way, feel you looking back? Scientists have pushed entanglement into realms that seem almost magical. We've entangled photons across kilometers, across continents, even between Earth and satellites orbiting far above. It's as though the universe is gently proving a point. Distance doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter. Once connected, always connected. But entanglement raises deeper, more human questions, too. Have you ever thought of someone you hadn't spoken to in years, and suddenly, they call you? Have you ever felt a quiet knowing, as if some part of you stretched beyond your skin, touching another life without words? Science might call that a coincidence. But maybe, just maybe, it's something else. Maybe we are all entangled in ways we can't yet measure. Imagine, for a moment, the sleepy cat in its box. Not just alive or dead, not just one or the other, but also entangled with the rest of the universe. With you, with me, with everything. The cat's fate ripples outward, touching particles and photons and dreams far beyond the edges of the box. And when you finally open it, when you choose your reality, perhaps you are also choosing countless other realities you cannot see. Entanglement hints at a universe where nothing exists in isolation, where every action echoes, where every choice ripples outward into infinite possibility. And here's the truly dizzying thought. If entanglement weaves everything together, maybe the universe isn't a collection of separate objects at all. Maybe it's one single, vast organism, breathing, dreaming, becoming. In a way, this makes Schrödinger's paradox even softer, even more beautiful. The cat isn't alone in the box. It never was. Because nothing is ever truly alone. When we gaze at the stars, we aren't just looking out into space. We're looking into ourselves. The atoms in your breath once burned inside those distant suns. The particles in your bones once danced with photons that may still be entangled with their ancient twins, scattered across galaxies. You are not apart from the universe. You are the universe, folded into itself, remembering. Entanglement is not just physics. It's poetry written into the structure of reality. So next time you feel disconnected, small or lost, close your eyes. Imagine the particles in your body humming softly with their entangled partners, some light years away. Imagine the stars carrying your story in their heat. Imagine that, in some quiet, invisible way, everything in existence holds hands. And maybe, just maybe, that's what love is, an echo of the universe remembering itself. There's something strange about reality. Something quiet. Something patient. It waits. At least, that's what the quantum world seems to whisper. The tiniest particles, electrons, photons, the soft building blocks of everything, don't seem to decide what they are until we look at them. Before we observe them, they drift in a blur of possibilities here and there, spinning and not spinning, wave and particle, asleep and awake all at once. It's only when we look that they choose. As though our attention, fragile, human, fleeting, casts a kind of spell. This is the heart of one of physics' strangest mysteries, the observer effect. Imagine a beam of light passing through two thin slits in a screen. You'd expect it to behave like tiny bullets, choosing one slit or the other. But instead, the light spreads out like ripples on water, creating an elegant interference pattern, as if each photon went through both slits at once. A particle, behaving like a wave. But here's where the cosmos turns playful. If we decide to watch the photons, to measure which slit they go through, the interference pattern disappears. Suddenly, the photons behave like neat, obedient particles again, as if they know they're being watched. It's as though reality itself refuses to show its hand until we pay attention. This simple, sleepy experiment changed everything we thought we knew about existence. It suggested that observation doesn't just record reality, it creates it. And so, physicists began to wonder, what does looking really mean? Is it simply photons bouncing off a detector? Or is consciousness, your awareness, your act of noticing, playing a deeper role than we ever imagined? Some argued that it must be our measurement tools that collapse the wave of possibilities into one outcome. But others whispered a more unsettling thought. Perhaps we are part of the equation. Perhaps reality needs us, our gaze, our curiosity, our consciousness, to crystallize from the fog of potential into something real. If that's true, then the entire universe is like a grand, unplayed piano, 1,000 melodies waiting in silence, until someone presses a key, until someone looks. It makes Schrödinger's cat feel less like a paradox and more like a mirror. Inside the box, the cat isn't just alive or dead. It's both until you open it, until your awareness touches the system, until your gaze folds infinite possibilities into one. But here's where the story deepens. What if reality isn't waiting for you, specifically? What if it's always watching itself? Every star shining in a distant galaxy, every quark trembling in the dark, every electron spinning softly in your veins, all of them interacting, observing, measuring one another in an endless cosmic dance. In a way, the universe is its observer. Consciousness, then, might not be something we have. It might be something the universe does. And yet, we feel it, don't we? That quiet awareness inside us, that sense of, I am, is something undeniable. Could it be that when you look at the night sky, the universe is looking back at itself through your eyes? The observer effect invites us to reconsider what it means to be alive. It suggests that our attention is not just passive, but participatory, that you are not a spectator in a fixed world, but a co-creator in a living, breathing reality. Think about that. Every choice you make, every moment you decide to look here, not there, bends your universe into a particular shape. And the strange, sleepy beauty of it is this: somewhere out there, in a quantum haze, are all the paths you didn't choose, all the versions of you who looked the other way, opened a different door, loved a different person, whispered a different goodbye. And they are just as real, until you decide otherwise. The box, it seems, isn't just for the cat. It's for us too. So tonight, as you lie under your ceiling of quiet stars, imagine the photons traveling billions of years just to meet your eyes. Imagine the universe holding its breath, waiting to collapse into the reality you choose to see, because maybe reality isn't something that simply exists. Maybe it's something that happens. Every time you look, close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of the night around you. Now imagine that this isn't the only night. That somewhere, just beyond the edge of what you can see, there's another version of you, lying in another bed, beneath another ceiling of stars. But their life is a little different. Maybe they chose a different path. Maybe they whispered yes where you said no. Maybe they kept the cat or left it behind. This is the haunting comfort of the many worlds interpretation, a theory born from Schrödinger's sleepy paradox and the strange rules of quantum mechanics. In the quantum world, particles exist in superpositions, blurred clouds of possibility, alive and dead, here and there, spinning and still, all at once. But when we measure them, the blur collapses into one definite outcome, one reality. For decades, physicists wondered what happens to all the other possibilities. Do they simply vanish? In 1957, a young physicist named Hugh Everett offered a radical answer. What if they don't disappear at all? What if, at every quantum event, the universe splits, branching into countless parallel realities where every possible outcome is played out? In one world, the photon goes left. In another, it goes right. In one universe, Schrödinger's cat stretches, yawns, and lives. In another, the box grows quiet. And somewhere, everywhere, there's a version of you who made the choices you didn't. It's unsettling, isn't it? To imagine that your life isn't the only script, but just one among infinite drafts scattered across an endless cosmic library. Every what if, every maybe, every almost, written down page after page, universe after universe. But here's where it gets cozy. If the multiverse is real, then nothing is truly lost. Every path you didn't take is still unfolding, somewhere. Every goodbye you thought was forever is whispered differently in another world. Somewhere, there's a version of you who became the painter you dreamed of being. Somewhere else, you're standing on a distant shore, laughing with someone who slipped away in this reality. In one universe, you're holding the box, afraid to open it. In another, you've already peeked inside. It makes existence feel softer somehow, doesn't it? Like, no matter what you choose, the unchosen still breathe. Life is less about regret and more about which version of the story you want to live right now. But there's a deeper, stranger implication. If every possibility happens, then this moment, you listening here, now, is just one thread in a vast, infinite tapestry. The you in this thread feels complete, singular, solid. But zoom out, and the tapestry is endless. Does that make your choices meaningless? Or does it make them sacred? Because here's the thing, out of all the infinite use, this is the one you're living. This is the breath you're taking. This is the ceiling of stars that belongs to you. And yet, somewhere, another version of you is reading these words at a different time, under a different moon, with a different heart. Maybe that's why Schrödinger's cat feels so strange, so eternal. It isn't just about whether the cat is alive or dead. It's about us, the observers, forever perched on the edge of endless realities, choosing which box to open, which story to tell, which self to be. The multiverse doesn't make life meaningless. It makes it infinite. And as you breathe, softly, under this quiet night, you might wonder, out of all the infinite worlds, why this one? Why you here, now, in this thread of reality? That perhaps is the real paradox. Close your eyes and think back to your last dream. Do you remember how real it felt? The weight of the air, the sound of footsteps, the way you spoke with someone you haven't seen in years, as though they'd never left, and then you woke up, back here, back in this world. But what if you didn't imagine that dream? What if have you visited it? In the strange landscape of quantum mechanics, time and reality are not as solid as they seem. Schrödinger's cat lives and dies at once. Particles are everywhere and nowhere until we look. The universe itself is like a restless sleeper, tossing between possibilities. And what if, when we sleep, we're able to slip between those possibilities too, Neuroscientists describe dreaming as the brain's way of processing memories, emotions, and fragments of thought. But quantum physicists whisper another possibility. Maybe, just maybe, our dreams are like quantum leaks, tiny cracks in the wall between this world and all the others. Think about it. In one dream, you're walking down a street you've never seen before, yet somehow, you know every turn. In another, you're speaking a language you've never learned, but the words spill from your mouth like water. Sometimes, you meet someone who doesn't exist here, yet you feel you've known them forever. Where do these pieces come from? Is your brain inventing them? Or are you remembering another life? Quantum theory gives us an eerie answer. If the many worlds interpretation is true, if every possible choice, every possible outcome, spins off into its reality, then somewhere, right now, there's a version of you living that dream. When you dream of standing on a quiet cliff, waves crashing below, heart racing with a love you've never met. Maybe that's not fantasy at all. Maybe, in another universe, you are there, living that moment, right now. When you dream of flying, maybe somewhere you can. And when you dream of people you've lost, those soft, fleeting encounters where you get to hold their hand one more time, maybe, just maybe, that's a place where they never left. It's a comforting thought, isn't it, that our dreams could be little portals. That somewhere out there, in the quiet folds of the cosmos, all your versions exist. Walking different paths, loving different people, making different mistakes. Some physicists even speculate that consciousness itself could be quantum, that our minds are entangled in ways we don't yet understand. If that's true, then perhaps your dreaming mind isn't bound by one reality at all. Maybe when you sleep you're free. Free to drift. Free to visit other worlds. Free to meet the you could have been. But there's something else, too. Have you ever woken up from a dream with tears in your eyes? Or with a laugh caught in your throat? Or with the weight of an emotion you can't explain? What if that's memory bleeding through? Not just imagination, but echoes from another you, living another life, carrying feelings you can only half remember. When Schrödinger closed the box, he left us with a paradox. Until we look, the cat is both alive and dead. But maybe dreams are where we peek through the lid, just for a moment. Just enough to see that there's so much more. And then, we wake up. Back in this version of reality, back to this life. Tonight, when you drift off, think about this. What if your dreams aren't yours at all? What if they belong to all your other selves, whispering softly across the cosmic divide? And if that's true, then, maybe, somewhere in another dream, another you is dreaming of this moment right now. Close your eyes and think of someone you love. It could be a partner, a friend, a parent, or maybe someone who's no longer here. Have you ever felt it? That quiet, invisible pull. The sense that, no matter the distance, something connects you, as if some part of them lives inside you, and you inside them. Scientists have a name for this feeling, though they describe it in a way that sounds almost cold. In quantum entanglement. In the quantum world, particles can become entangled, meaning that no matter how far apart they are, across a room, across the galaxy, or realities themselves, they remain linked. Change one, and the other changes instantly. Albert Einstein once called it spooky action at a distance, because, by all logic, it shouldn't be possible. And yet, nature does it anyway. Now, imagine this. What if we're not just made of matter and memory? What if we're made of entangled moments? What if every deep love, every heartbreak, every soul you've ever collided with, they're still tied to you? Not metaphorically, but literally, at the quantum level. Have you ever thought of someone out of nowhere, and then, moments later, they call you? Or you feel an ache in your chest, and later, you learn they were hurting too. Is it just a coincidence? Or is there something deeper, something that binds us in ways science hasn't yet mapped? Some physicists whisper that consciousness might operate beyond time and space. That when two lives touch deeply enough, the imprint doesn't just stay in your memory, it stays everywhere. Think about Schrödinger's cat for a moment. Inside the box, the cat is both alive and dead until you observe it. But what if our connections work the same way? What if, in some strange, delicate sense, the bond you share with someone keeps existing in all possible outcomes? Across all versions of the cosmos, there is always a thread between you. And maybe that explains the dreams. Maybe when you dream of someone you've lost, when you see their smile, hear their voice, feel the warmth of their hand, you're not imagining them. You're reaching across the veil, following that quantum thread to another reality. A place where they're still alive, still laughing, still with you. It's comforting, isn't it? To think that goodbyes might only exist in this version of reality. That somewhere, in another universe, you never parted. Somewhere, in another life, you're still walking side by side. And if quantum entanglement is true, maybe, in some unfathomable way, you can feel it. I think that's why certain people stay with us forever. Why do their memories never fade? Why, even when they're gone, some part of them still whispers inside us? Because maybe we're entangled souls. Maybe we always have been. Maybe we always will be. Next time you feel someone's presence when they're miles away. Next time you wake from a dream where someone long gone was suddenly here again. Next time your heartache is for reasons you can't explain. Remember this. The universe is stranger, softer, and far more connected than we can imagine. Perhaps there's no such thing as distance. Perhaps there's no such thing as loss. Perhaps, in the language of quantum physics, we never truly let go. And so, as Schrödinger's cat sleeps inside its box, alive in one universe, gone in another, maybe the same is true of our hearts. Somewhere, in infinite realities, the souls we love are still with us. And somewhere, maybe they're dreaming of us too. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine 1,000 versions of yourself, scattered like stardust across infinite realities. In one world, you're sitting exactly where you are now. In another, you made a different choice years ago, and your entire life unfolded in a different direction. In another, you never met the people who define you today. And somewhere else, you're living the dream you sometimes ache for when you can't sleep. This isn't just science fiction. This is quantum mechanics whispering its strangest secret. Every time a particle has options, it doesn't pick one. It chooses all of them. When Schrödinger imagined his cat, alive and dead, both at once, he wasn't writing a fairy tale. He was hinting at something terrifying and beautiful. If particles can exist in multiple states, and if you are made of particles, then what does that make you? Maybe, somewhere out there, another version of you never said goodbye to someone you miss. Another version found the courage to chase the love you hesitated to confess. Another one took the job, moved to the city, and boarded the plane. And yet another never woke up from the dream you still remember. But here's the strange part: sometimes you feel them. Have you ever woken up from a dream where your life was completely different, yet somehow it felt realer than real? The streets, the voices, the laughter, so vivid you swear you could reach out and touch it. Or that sudden déjà vu when you step into a place you've never been before. And yet, you know the smell, the sound, the shadows on the wall. What if those aren't accidents? What if they're echoes? Some physicists whisper that the multiverse isn't silent, that sometimes, when the walls between realities thin, you can catch a fragment of another life, a memory that doesn't belong to you, but to another you entirely. Maybe your dreams are windows. Maybe déjà vu is a doorway. Maybe those sudden, strange feelings, the pull toward someone you've just met, the ache for a place you've never seen. There are whispers from another version of yourself, saying, "I've been here before. I've loved them before. I've lived this moment before." It's unsettling, isn't it? To think that there are infinite yous out there, making choices you didn't make, living lives you'll never remember, and yet, somehow you do remember. In dreams, in flashes, in heartbeats, and maybe those versions of you are just as haunted by you. Now, imagine this thought: if Schrödinger's cat exists both alive and dead until we look, then maybe, right now, you are all the versions of yourself, collapsed into this one moment only because you're observing it. You are the dreamer, but also, somewhere else, you are the dream. Sometimes I wonder, when you ache for a life you've never lived, when you miss someone you've never met, when you wake up crying without knowing why, maybe it's not random, maybe it's a message. Maybe somewhere out there, another you is whispering through the walls of reality, trying to tell you, "I'm okay. I made it. You will too." And maybe that's why the night feels different. Why time bends and slows when you can't sleep. Why the stars seem to lean closer, as if they know something you don't. Because maybe, in the dark and quiet, when the world finally stops spinning, you can almost hear it. The soft, infinite chorus of yourselves, breathing across universes, dreaming together. Somewhere, another you is still awake right now. And somewhere else, another you never felt the pain you carry. And somewhere further still, another you is whispering your name, hoping you'll hear it in a dream. Because maybe, in the great, unending tapestry of existence, we are all threads of the same soul, woven, tangled, and forever touching, even when we don't know it. We've wandered together through paradoxes and whispers, through half-dead cats and infinite versions of ourselves. But here, at the edge of everything, one question lingers like a soft echo: are we discovering the universe or inventing it? Every time you open your eyes, light pours in and paints a picture. But here's the strange thing: the universe doesn't come fully formed. Until you look, the quantum world exists in a shimmering cloud of possibilities. Probabilities, not certainties. It's only when you observe it that reality collapses into a single version of events. So, are you seeing reality? Or are you choosing it? Schrödinger's cat taught us a simple truth, wrapped in paradox until we open the box. The cat is both alive and dead, but here's the haunting implication. What if your entire life is like that box? What if right now every path, every love, every heartbreak, every joy, every loss already exists, and yet it's your gaze? Which version do you step into? Take a moment. Think about the last life-changing decision you made, the job you took, the person you kissed, the apology you never said. What if, in another thread of reality, you didn't choose that path, and yet, here you are, living this one, as if this was always where you were meant to be? But was it destiny? Or did you create this moment simply by living it? Quantum physics whispers something radical. The observer isn't separate from reality. You're not just a passenger on this cosmic ride. You are part of the machinery itself, a lens through which the universe experiences itself. And if that's true, then maybe the stars aren't just burning silently above you. Maybe they're watching you back. Maybe they only shine because, deep down, you expect them to. Some scientists call it the participatory universe. The idea that the cosmos needs consciousness to collapse into existence. But that thought carries something softer, something almost poetic. Maybe the universe isn't just a place you exist in. Maybe it's a mirror, reflecting your attention, your longing, your quiet belief that you are here for a reason. And here's the dreamiest part. If reality needs you to observe it into existence, then in some way, you are creating it right now. Every time you fall in love, every time you forgive, every time you dream of a better tomorrow. You shift the probabilities, you nudge the universe toward one version of itself instead of another. You are not just living in reality, you are co-writing it. But, if that's true, then maybe the opposite is true too. Maybe the universe also creates you. Maybe it sculpted your mind from the same stardust that forged galaxies. Maybe the dream of existence dreamed you into being, so it could experience itself through your eyes. Like Schrödinger's cat, you are both the observer and the observed, both the question and the answer. So tonight, as you lie in the quiet dark, remember this: every time you breathe, a star somewhere breathes with you. Every choice you make ripples across infinite possibilities. Every thought you hold shapes a reality only you will ever experience. And maybe, just maybe, the universe didn't make a mistake when it made you. Because without you looking at it, without you wondering, without you dreaming, maybe there is no universe at all. Close your eyes now. The box is shut. The cat sleeps, alive and dead and infinite. And so do you, in all versions, in all worlds, in all the dreams the cosmos ever dared to have. This is the end of the sleepy Schrödinger's cat. But it's not an ending, is it? Because somewhere, in another thread of reality, another version of you,